We are literally living through the dawn of a new industrial revolution. Seriously. But this one isn't about steam or steel, it's about intelligence itself. And while the brightest minds are building these incredibly powerful tools, these new engines for humanity, there's a huge question hanging in the air. Did we remember to build a steering wheel? That's the real race we need to talk about.
So you've got leaders in the tech world, people like NVIDIA's Jensen Huang, laying out this absolutely stunning blueprint for our future. They're literally building what they call AI factories. I mean, just picture that. These are the hearts of this new engine, and they're designed to pump out intelligence on a scale that's, frankly, hard to even wrap your head around. And this isn't some far-off sci-fi dream. This is the new industrial reality being built as we speak.
And yeah, that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. With all of this energy, all this brain power focused on building a stronger engine, more power, more data, more capability, who's in charge of the steering wheel? Or the brakes? Or heck, even the compass? This isn't just some techie question, you know? It's probably the fundamental challenge of our era. Okay, so first up, let's just take a second to really appreciate the sheer scale of this new engine. Because to understand the challenge of governing it, you first have to grasp the incredible, mind-bending vision for its power and its reach.
So the vision kind of breaks down into three main parts. First, you have these AI factories, just massive data centers churning out raw intelligence. Second, you give that intelligence a body with physical AI. We're talking robots, self-driving cars, agents that can actually do things in our world. And third, you put that power in everyone's hands through what's called democratized AI, easy-to-use building blocks and super powerful personal computers. It creates this huge, powerful cycle that just feeds itself.
And you know what's really telling? How this whole thing is described. Some sources are calling it a reckless race. Now that phrase tells you everything, doesn't it? It screams speed and power, for sure, but it also implies a total lack of direction, no foresight. We're just building faster and faster without a clear map of where in the world we're going. So this is the point where all that excitement about new tech smacks right into a really serious, kind of dangerous problem. The race is definitely on, but it's a race without a compass, and this isn't about putting the brakes on innovation, it's about getting our bearings and figuring out how to actually navigate where it's taking us. The problem at the heart of all this is what's being called a governance vacuum. It's basically this huge gap that opens up when our tech power grows way faster than our ability to manage it. Like we've been saying, we have this incredible engine, but we're missing the steering wheel, the brake pedal, and the GPS to guide it.
Okay, so what actually happens when you're stuck in this governance vacuum? Well, you get something called a decision deficit. Think of it like a chronic illness for society. Organizations either get totally paralyzed, they're too scared to make a choice, or they make really bad, biased, and unaccountable decisions because there's no framework, no system to guide them toward a good one.
All right, so if the big problem is a vacuum, the obvious solution is to fill it, right? And it turns out there's a proposed blueprint for exactly that, for finally building the steering wheel. It's a whole framework called the Governance Operating System, or GOS for short.
So this GOS thing is built on 4 pillars, and the metaphors they use are actually super helpful to get it. You've got a constitution that lays down the basic rules of the road, a cabinet to help make wise decisions, an immune system to hunt down and fix problems, and finally, a manual that shows you how to actually put the whole thing together.
So the big question is, how does this whole governance plan actually stack up against the tech vision we just talked about? This is where it gets really interesting, where the two blueprints, the one for power and the one for control, finally come face to face.
Okay, let's start with the AI factory. It's this powerhouse, right? A kingdom of pure intelligence. The tech vision tells us how to build this amazing factory and make it more and more powerful. The GOS, on the other hand, gives the human ruler of that kingdom the laws, the cabinet, and the processes they need to actually govern it wisely.
And wow, this next one really brings home what's at stake with physical AI. I mean, when an AI has a physical body, a simple bug in the code can cause actual, real-world harm. The tech vision gives us this bustling anthill of autonomous agents. The GOS provides the central control needed to make sure that anthill's working for us, and not, against us.
Then you've got this idea of NIMs. The easiest way to think about them is like an endless box of Legos for building AI. Super cool, right? But in a world with millions, maybe billions of these little Lego blocks floating around, how do you know which ones are safe to build with? The GOS solution is something called digital DNA, basically a passport for every single block that verifies where it came from and what it does. It's about building a foundation of trust. And this brings us to a really crucial point. It's not just about building a smarter system. Raw computational power, what we call intelligence, is fundamentally different from actual wisdom, and that difference is everything.
This table, honestly, it just lays it all out perfectly. On one hand, you have the technologist's logic. More power means more progress. More access for everyone is utopia. More data equals higher intelligence. But the governance insight flips that on its head. It shows that ungoverned power is actually more risk. Ungoverned access can lead to chaos, and no amount of data can ever replace real human wisdom and judgment.
So, how do you actually build wisdom into a system? I mean, for real. Well, the GOS has some specific ideas. You always have a human governor in charge of the ultimate purpose. You create a special decision-making group that blends the AI's amazing analytical power with human oversight. And this is my favorite part. You have a dedicated red team whose entire job is to challenge the system and try to find its flaws before they cause problems. It basically builds skepticism right into the machine.
So that brings us to the big takeaway here. We're not facing a choice between awesome technology on one side and boring governance on the other. That's a false choice. The two have to be partners in building a future that we all actually want to live in. At the end of the day, what we have are two blueprints that are meant to work together. One gives us the most powerful engine humanity has ever dreamed of. The other gives us the steering wheel, the compass, and a driver's seat. And let's be honest, one is pretty useless and frankly dangerous without the other.
Look, the tech is already here. It's getting faster and more powerful every single day. The engine is on, it's revving. So the only real question left is, who is going to step up and take the wheel?